Hey everybody, God bless and welcome. We have a very interesting topic for this video. But before we jump in, subscribe to this channel, also share this video, like this video. As always, I do appreciate everyone's support. Now let's get into the topic of how to protect your spirit and energy from negativity, haters, and enemies. This is an important topic because now more than ever, we need to be guarded. We need to guard our spirit. We need to guard our energy because on a daily basis, we are being hit with things and bombarded with things from the outside, sometimes even from the inside, that are negative, that are deleterious, that can have a really bad and negative impact on our lives. So in this video, I hope and I aim to equip you all with some strategies and some things to think about as you strengthen yourself on the inside, because this is what we need in this day and age. This is what we need in the 21st century. We need inner strength so we can deal with the things that are on the outside that wishes to come in to penetrate us, to enter our spirits and destroy us, because that's the whole goal of the enemy, is to still kill and destroy. So in this video, I want to give you some tools and some weapons and some things you need to know if you are to create a protective shield around yourself, if you are to strengthen yourself spiritually. There are 5 things I think you should need to know, and let's get started. So the first thing to consider is love. That's right, love. Love is a major tool and a major thing that we must have if we are to guard and to protect our spirit and especially our energy. Not just love of others or just love in general. I'm talking about really self-love. Because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? So love at its core really begins with how you see and how you view yourself. So it's important to have love for yourself. And I'm not talking about like narcissism, and I'm not talking about being self-centered and so into yourself, but having a healthy self-esteem, having a healthy self-image, not putting yourself down, understanding who you are, being sure about yourself, having a healthy confidence. That is what's needed if you are to be able to protect yourself from the outside forces, from those haters, from those enemies, from the negative energy when you go into environments. If you have, because love is the foundation. So if you have that foundation of self-love, the things that people do, and especially the things that people say about you, will not have the impact that the people who are perpetrating those things, that they wish it would have. It won't have that sting to it that will crumble and destroy you. So it's very important that you develop, if you don't have it, especially if you don't have it, self-love, healthy self-esteem, healthy self-image. That is the thing that is going to anchor you. That is the thing that is going to strengthen you. Because if you know who you are, there's nobody else on the outside who can tell you who you are. And when they come at you with lies, when they come at you, especially the jealous people, with the lies, when they say things about you that are not true, when they call you out of your name, when you enter a negative space or you come around negative people, and when people say things, and when they say things to you, especially, that are hurtful, it'll begin to bounce off of you because you know within yourself that's not true. But if that self-love is not there, and you already have a negative story about yourself, you already believe that, you're not worthy. You already believe that you're not smart. You already believe that you're ugly. You already believe that, you're not talented or you're not gifted. You already believe that nobody will ever love you. When people begin to speak that negativity over you, when people will come to you and, say things over you, when the haters and when the enemies come to try to destroy you verbally, your story and what you think about yourself is going to match what they say. And what it's going to do is going to come in, is going to penetrate you, and it's going to infiltrate your spirit. And that's going to help to destroy you. But if you have a different story, if you have a story of love, I love myself, I am wonderful, I was created in God's image, I am talented, I am smart, I am beautiful, And even if you're not completely there with those things, you have to speak those things to yourself, because you are wonderful. God created you. You're great. So you have to basically make sure that you have the proper understanding of who you are, and that you have the right story residing on the inside. So when people come with their negativity and when people come with their lies, it'll just repel right off of you. I just have a quick story just to illustrate what I'm talking about. One time I was riding the train, and this guy sat next to me, and he pulled out his nail clipper and he started clipping his nails. And I just have this pet peeve about people self-grooming in public. I don't like it. I think it's pretty gross, especially that. And I just got up and I changed seats, and that just set that guy off, and he just cursed me out. I've never been cursed out so bad in my life. I mean, he was making up curse words, I believe. He called me every B name in the world. He was saying racial slurs. I mean, anything that could trigger me or trigger anybody, he was just saying it and calling me all kinds of names, and just was being vile and so verbally abusive. And it was just out of nowhere, just because I changed my seat, and because I didn't want his nail clippings on me. And he just went off. So, instinctively, when people attack us, we want to get right back at them. We want to fight them back. We want to say something back. And, I guess he was expecting me to start rolling my neck and matching his energy and getting as loud as he was. And and this is what I tell you all in my videos, to take a pause. And I've said this time and time again. I took that pause, and I just stopped. And I said, okay, who is saying these things to me? Is a stranger, someone who doesn't know me, someone who is clearly, and from what I can discern, had spiritual issues. Now, there's a difference between spiritual issues and psychological issues. He probably has psychological issues as well. But I was discerning that he was dealing with some evil spirits on the inside. So he had some spiritual issues. He probably had some psychological issues. And, he seemed to be a person who didn't like women very much. He probably hurt and abused women. He probably enjoyed it. So I said, well, if I match that energy, I could get hurt. That's number one. Number two, I was like, here's a person who doesn't even know me, who's saying these things about me. Why should I get upset? And you know what? As I thought about it, I just started laughing. I don't recommend that either, when people, go off like that, because that could trigger people too. You start laughing, but I just couldn't help it. I started laughing, and he's like, what are you laughing about? And I just could, and then I stopped, because it was just so ridiculous to me for someone to just go off like that. And then I stopped, and every time he started cursing me again, and every time he cursed me, I blessed him. I said, God loves you. Jesus loves you. You are a child of God. And then he had stopped because every time he cursed me, I blessed him, and he stopped, and he just said, you don't mean that. You're just saying that. So he just, we just did this back and forth, and he was just like, you don't mean that. You're lying. It's not true. And I was like, yes, it is true. I do want you to be blessed. I do want you to have a good life. I do want you to be well. And it just disarmed him. Whatever was working on the inside, and whatever demons or spiritual issues he was dealing with, it just arrested those spirits and those things that he was dealing with, and it stopped the attack. And he had to stop. And eventually the next stop on the train, he got off. So I didn't match that energy. He said some pretty vile things to me, and things that could have hurt anyone's feelings, things that could have angered and triggered anybody. And it definitely could have triggered me, when I was, younger in the Lord, and I wasn't very spiritually mature. I probably would have wanted to fight. But, I thought about that thing, and I'm like, he has a problem. That's his issue. He doesn't know me. What he's saying about me isn't true. Why should I get upset about that? I don't have to let that in. I don't have to allow that to disrupt my day and to upset me and to disrupt my spirit. So because I knew it wasn't true, because I knew those names he was calling me all kinds of names and outside of my name. I know who I am, and I know what my name is, and what he was saying wasn't my name, and it wasn't true, and I didn't believe it. And so what I'm saying is that the story that I had about myself, because my own self-love and how I feel about myself, what he was saying didn't even have an impact on me. Could it have hurt my feelings? I didn't even let it hurt my feelings because I knew it wasn't true. So if you have a healthy sense of love and you have the right story about yourself and what you believe about yourself, okay, you don't like the fact that I'm a woman, you don't like the fact that I'm black, you don't like how I look or my outfit. So what? That's your problem. I know who I am. I like myself. I like the way I look. I like my dark skin. I like the fact that I'm a woman. I embrace all of me. I think it's wonderful and it's beautiful, and you should embrace all of you because you're wonderful and you're beautiful. So, self-love is very, very important because I had that self-love and that inner love. What he was saying was just bouncing. It was just bouncing right off of me. That love for myself and that anchor that I have with those nasty and those mean words that were like daggers, it was just like repellent. So make sure you have self-love because self-love is it's a shield. Love is a shield. So you make sure if you're not there yet, that's something that you need to be working on, your self-esteem, your self-image, because it can protect you. Number 2 is pay attention. Pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to what's going on. In a day-to-day, in our daily lives, we have the tendency, we're so distracted. With technology and everything that's going on, we've been bombarded by information and by our phones and by social media and by, what's happening in the news and this is that and the other. And, we get, many of us stuck in a routine and stuck in a rut. And, we're not paying attention as we should. It's very important to pay attention to your environment. You need to be paying attention to what's happening in your household. You need to be paying attention to what's happening in your family, what's happening in your neighborhood, what's happening in your workplace. The reason why I say pay attention is because so many people get caught off guard when the attacks come, when the haters come, when the enemies come. You don't even know that you're in a toxic environment and that it's impacting you because you're not really paying attention to what's happening. And then you begin to feel bad and you're not sure where it's coming from and you're under attack and you're not sure who's doing it to you. Pay attention. It's very, very important to pay attention. It's very important to have a strong prayer life because God will reveal where the attacks are coming from. Whether it's coming from a person or from a situation or from an environment or whatever it is, the Holy Spirit will reveal that to you if you have a strong and solid prayer life. So you have to pay attention to your environment and what's going on and, kind of like get your head out of the clouds if it's in the clouds. Stop being so distracted. Sometimes it's good to just sit and just think about what's happening, thinking about your environment. Am I happy in this environment? Am I happy about, how my relationships are going? What's happening in my family? Am I happy about this job situation? So it's good to, take a survey every once in a while of your environment just to make sure that, you're paying attention because our lack of attention could leave us wide open for attacks from our enemies, attacks from our haters, and it will also allow negativity to creep in if you're unaware. So be very, very aware of your environment. Pay attention because when we pay attention, then we can arm ourselves and be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that person felt that way about me. Or, oh, wow, this environment is actually not good. I'm not feeling good in this place. So it's important to pay attention and also be in tune with your feelings because that way you can better protect yourself. So pay attention. Number 3, don't give them power. So right now I'm talking about the haters and the enemy, your enemies. Don't give them power. So when people do things, and earlier I talked about the man on the train who verbally abused me and assaulted me. Not funny, but I could laugh about it now because whatever. But I didn't, in that situation, I didn't give him the power. I would have gave him power if I would have tried to match that energy. We give our enemies and our haters power when we think about them, when we talk about them all the time. So it's like the more focus you put on something that's negative, something that, a negative person, a negative situation, the more power we give it. So yes, going back to my last point, be aware of your environment and of the people who might be enemies and haters, but at the same time, don't give them your energy and don't give them your attention, because as you do that, you're actually giving them power. So if somebody does something to you, they talk behind your back, they undercut you, they try to diminish you, they try to talk down to you, they're abusive, they're narcissistic, whatever the situation is. Okay, you've identified it. If you've identified it, but don't give them power and energy. That might mean disengaging from them. That might be, even if they pop up in your mind, make sure when that happens that you replace that thought. Yes, you are allowed to replace thoughts. It's going to happen. Someone hurt you, they hurt your feelings, they may say something to you about you that's not true and may be very hurtful, but you don't have to hold on to that. Release it. Like, all right, that stung a little bit, but I'm not going to think about it all day. I'm not going to let that ruin my day or my weekend or my week, right? I'm not going to think about that when I'm, with my family or with my significant other, or when I'm trying to do something fun, right? So I'm not going to let that person spoil, my inner well-being. So you don't give them your thoughts, and don't give them your energy. So sometimes people may do things and it may warrant you to, put them in their place. But that's when wisdom and having a connection with God comes in, because, all the time I ask God, should I engage or disengage? Because sometimes people do things, I just want to get them. And, a lot of the times God be like, leave them alone, leave the situation alone, or I'll just ignore them. Because, going back to what I said earlier, sometimes you have to understand and take a look at who's doing these things to you. In my case of the man on the train, this was a stranger, someone who I did not know. So, I probably would never see again. So it's like, why would I even engage this person on that level or even believe anything that he says? So understand who's saying the things that they're saying, right? So if you understand that the hater or the enemy of the person that's coming at you, that, they're miserable, they're unhappy, and they're trying to make your life unhappy, that's because they have a problem, and that their problem really at the core has nothing to do with you. That's their issue. So understand who's doing these things, and don't give them your power, don't give them your thoughts, don't give them your energy. And when you do that, you empower yourself, and when you do that, you protect yourself. But, if you're giving people your thoughts and your energy, you're just leaving yourself open for attacks and open, for, things that you don't need in your life. So don't give away your power. Number 4, be ready. Be ready at all times, in all seasons, all occasions. That's what the Apostle Paul said. Be ready. Ephesians chapter 6. Be ready, right? I talk about this very often in my videos. I talk about doing the spiritual work and the spiritual discipline. It is paramount. It is so very important if you are to be spiritually strong, if you are to be spiritually well, if you are, if you want to create protection for yourself and a covering and a hedge of protection for you, not just for you, but for your family as well, is that you have to be ready. That means you have to do the disciplines. That means you have to have dedicated time with God. That means you have to do the meditation. You should be doing fasting as well. You should, if you can, so there's just you should be in the Word of God. These are things that you need to do that will strengthen you spiritually. You've got to carve that time out so that you can be strong. The more time you give to God, the more empowered you will become. The less time you give to God, the weaker on the inside you'll become. So I find when you spend more time with God, what happens is His presence will be with you. And the stronger His presence is in you and around you, that is a protective shield. So in that, be ready. You get that protective shield and you get His presence when you practice the disciplines that I've spoke about in so many of my videos. The discipline of, getting up in the morning or even sometimes in the evening, and you carving out that time for God, the fasting, the prayer, the reading of the Word. All of that matters, and all of that is very, very important if you are we're in a battle right now. The battle is not just for your soul, but the battle is for your attention. The battle is for your energy. The battle is for the vitality of your life. The enemy doesn't want you to be happy. The enemy doesn't want you to live a good life. There's so many people out here that are seeking people to break and to diminish and to harm and to do all sorts of things too. So you want to make sure that you are strong if you encounter these people, that you're strong if you go into negative environments. So be ready. And finally, what I want everyone to do, including myself, is it's important for us to focus on our own spiritual development, and we have to do spiritual maintenance. Everything on earth, most things, most organisms have to be replenished and have to have some level of maintenance. And that's not even just with living things, is with objects as well. You take our cars and our vehicles, so if you have a car, you know that every so often you have to give your car maintenance and take care of your car. You have to change the oil, you have to do the tire rotation, and if a part is broken, you have to replace it. So there's maintenance that goes all around. So we have to think about it, also consider our spiritual maintenance, and to make sure that we are developing. And you want to make sure that as the weeks go by and as the months go by and even as the years go by, that you're at a higher level spiritually, because the higher we go up, the stronger we'll become. And the stronger we become, we'll be able to withstand the issues of life. We'll be able to withstand the challenges. We'll be able to withstand the attacks from our haters and from our enemies. And those fiery darts and those things that come off of us, it'll just begin to bounce off. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't get exhausted and you won't get tired and you won't get your feelings hurt and you won't suffer any pain or go through anything or any suffering. It doesn't mean that those things are going to go away, but it will mean that you will have the strength to endure and that it won't take you out. A lot of people are being taken out. A lot of people are dying prematurely. A lot of people are living way beneath their potential and living miserable lives, and they don't have to. You don't have to. I don't have to. I don't want you to. So make sure that you embrace these things, the self-love, that you pay attention and don't be distracted, that you don't give your enemies and haters power, that you are ready and that you develop spiritually and that you measure it. And when you develop spiritually year by year, you'll find that your life will get better and better. So that's all I wanted to share with you in this video. I hope that it helps you in some way. That is always my aim and my goal with these videos. Take care, God bless, and I will see you in the next one.